If I met a guy today and I found out I was choice number 2, I would be like, see you. That was when I decided that like, hey, I think I want to do this full time, because he had been talking to another girl for the last couple of months, because I don't think that you should ever have to beg a man to stay. Hello friends, it has been a while. Welcome to my bathroom in my new house. Let's get ready together. Okay, first thing I want to start off is SPF. I just got this new one from Beauty of Brazilian that I've been wanting to try. It's like a serum sunscreen. The other day I posted a little Q&A on my Instagram and I got so many requests after someone asked me about green flags in men. So we're just gonna have a chill little girl chat. I have questions that you guys asked me compiled on my phone in front of me. Some of the topics are about relationships, how Bray and I met, how we grew together as a couple, the whole loyalty bit, some of the problems that we went through and how we moved on from that. We're gonna talk about money, our new house here. I haven't even showed you guys on YouTube yet. And then we're gonna touch on some like creator tips and advice, but I think I might wanna do a whole video on that because I feel like I have a lot to say and you guys have a lot of questions about that. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so on Instagram, I did a little Q&A and someone asked, what are things you look for in a partner? What are some flags? So I'll pop that screenshot right here. And at the very end, I just mentioned that loyalty is very important to me. When Bray and I first started talking, it was a little bit rocky to begin with and you guys just wanted some elaboration. So let's elaborate in a little girl chat. The whole point of this is not really to like shame Brandon, because obviously this happened a long time ago, but a lot of you guys messaged me just saying that like it brings you hope, because obviously dating is really rough, and when you're out there you meet a lot of, to put it bluntly, a lot of really shitty guys, shady things that happen to you all the time. Like, I think it just gives some of you hope to know that Brandon and I don't have the perfect relationship. Obviously we went through our own ups and downs. So Brandon and I have been together for almost 9 years now, and all of this happened at the very beginning of our relationship. When we first started talking, I found out he was talking to another girl, and this was honestly really early on. We had just started seriously talking, and I found out like through Snapchat top 3 friends, if you guys remember that era. We had a friend that knew who this girl was, that I think they went to high school together or something like that, and we investigated, found out that Brandon was talking to her also at the same time, and she had no idea that I was seriously talking to Brandon. So that was when we had first met in college at the University of Washington in Seattle. And then I think it was just a couple months after that, I was helping Brandon to update a new iPhone that he got, and I think he was like out doing homework. He was like at a study group or something like that, and I was like backing up his phone, his brand new phone, and somehow it updated and all of his old texts started flooding in. And there was this girl that he had been friends with all throughout high school, and he had talked about here and there, that I was kind of like suspicious about. Sometimes you just know those girls you get kind of bad vibes about. And I saw a message from her pop up, so I had his phone. It was literally handed to me, so I was like, I guess I'm obligated to go through it. Long story short, I found out I was option number 2, and that really hurt me. So we kind of like took things a little bit slower from there. Like, I think I was just like, okay, I kind of just want to be casual with this guy, since he obviously doesn't even consider me like option 1. Anyways, ended up moving on from that. Obviously him and her are no longer friends. If I met a guy today and I found out I was choice number 2, I would be like, see you, figure that out yourself, and then you can come back to me if you want. But it's not my job to like beg or be on my knees to get a man to be with me. Like, he should know he wants to be with me, you know? So Bray and I eventually got over that. We dated for around 2.5 years with no issues. Everything was really good. We were living together at the time. We were both going to UW before we had our next big problem, and I think this is really like a big pivotal point in our relationship. And I talk about it all the time, but this is actually, it brought us to a point where Bray and I actually broke up. And I don't remember if I ever went into detail about why we broke up, but essentially I was very clingy and I would always want to be with Brandon. I didn't really have like a lot of friends in college that I was still friends with. And so I was always just wanting to go home and spend time with Brandon. And it got to a point where it became very toxic. I was just so clingy that I would almost like guilt trip him for wanting to go out and be with his buddies. And I still had girlfriends that weren't the best influence on me. And so I was going out with these friends a lot. We were going to bars and clubs and talking to other guys. And he was kind of frustrated because he wasn't able to spend time with people that he wanted to spend time with. So we fell into kind of like a toxic relationship where he just wanted to break away from that. And I found out one night that he had been talking to another girl for the last couple of months. And this is, keep in mind, like 2.5 years into our relationship. So we were dating very seriously. We were living together. But like I was saying, we had a lot of issues in our relationship. And I think he was just kind of seeking another person to talk to that wasn't clingy, that was, I don't know, giving him positive reinforcement and fun to be with, because maybe at that time I wasn't as fun to be with anymore. So I think it was just like a big thing that needed to happen. It was very dramatic. I moved out like the next day and I was really hurt for a long time. And at that point, Brandon and I started dating other people. He continued talking to that girl. I was just like, I want to move on. I want to be single for a while. I picked up a couple of jobs and I kept myself really, really busy. A couple months later, I was in a place where I was like dating other guys casually. I was going on dates, seeing other people, but there wasn't like anyone in particular that I was like with at the time. And we ended up just running into each other a couple months later and hitting it back off. We started really slow. We went on like a lunch date just to catch up, because I think him and I realized after dating other people that it just wasn't the vibe. Every guy that I talked to afterwards, I was just like, I literally would rather be by myself, or I was constantly like comparing the guys to Brandon. And so I think he was kind of doing the same thing with the girl that he was talking to. But yeah, one of you guys asked me how Brandon and I got over that point in our relationship, because I feel like once someone is unfaithful, it's kind of hard to learn to trust them again. And obviously now it's been 9 years that Brandon and I have been together. He's obviously done nothing sketchy since then. I think once we had our period like apart from each other and dating other people, I think we just realized like end goal, we want to be with each other. There's no better match, and it's better to just like work out our battles ourselves than try to find someone new, you know? Once Brandon and I got back together, we just had that conversation that it was really fucked up that he did that, but we wanted to just move on. And when we first got back together, he was really good about just showing me that he was going to be loyal. He had no plans on talking to anyone else. And I think it was nice because it was almost like a short break that we had. I think we both got a little sample of like dating other people. I learned to be independent during that phase. And I think after that point, we were just better people, and together, just a better couple. But I do want to bring it back and just talk about like kind of green flags that I look for in guys. A lot of the things that I loved about Brandon, still love about Brandon, is he's a very supportive partner. He was actually the first one to encourage me to start my YouTube channel back in the day. He'd always take my Instagram pictures, and when I first started posting on YouTube, he was always like one of the first people to sit down and watch my videos. He's always giving me advice and tips and sharing other videos that were good inspo for me. So he was always very supportive from day one. When we first met, I struggled with money heavily, and he actually helped take care of groceries and fill my tank from time to time. Just like little things that he would do to help support me in many ways, and just like obviously money. I also love like sharing any ideas with him. I feel like I had an ex that wasn't always super supportive, and he would be condescending or almost like skeptical of ideas that I had, whereas Brandon was always very supportive, and it seemed like no dream I had or anything I told him was too bizarre, unachievable. He's also just a really sweet guy, very easy to talk to. He has a great family. My family loves him. So he has a lot of green flags that I look for in a man. He's also very funny and silly, and we obviously, our humor goes very hand in hand with each other. If you are dating someone and you find out they're cheating or there's some like loyalty problems, I feel like it's just important to have a conversation about like, what is the end goal here? Is this the guy that you see yourself marrying and willing to work through this? Is it like a pattern that he's constantly doing? Because if this is something that he's doing all the time and constantly being with other women, maybe you just need to let him go and do his own thing, because I don't think that you should ever have to beg a man to stay or choose you. You know what I mean? They kind of just want to do what they want to do, and if they have, especially if they have like a girl trying to tell them what to do with their lives, I feel like they're less likely to want to do it, you know? Someone asked, how did you get Brandon to change his priorities? And I just think men are really attracted to girls that have their shit together, that are really independent. Like, I got to a point once where I broke up that I was just like, I don't need a man. I don't need to be with someone that badly, especially because the person that I really cared about and invested a lot of time in didn't value me as much as I valued him. So who am I to put that much in a guy ever again? So I just got to a point where I was just focusing on me and I was really prioritizing my health. I was just trying to hustle, make money. I was working a new job at this restaurant, and in this like newly single era, like it was just fun to be able to talk to whoever I wanted to talk to, go on dates, get dinner, get dressed up. You know, like it was a really fun era, and I think I also learned a lot. I wasn't like in a rush to get back into a relationship. I more so cared about, okay, these are things that I need to improve on individually, and I want to just focus on that and enjoying time with myself, make money, go to school. Like a big thing for me, I'm a Capricorn, so making money, being financially stable was always a big priority for me. So just having more time to be able to do that was really important to me. If you want a man to change his priorities and prioritize you, you just have to realize that you are the best package. You're a successful woman, you're beautiful, and you have all these qualities that men want in a woman, and let him realize that himself and come back to you, because there's nothing you can say or do to force a guy to want you back. You just have to kind of like attract that energy. I feel like it's really hard because after I found out that Brandon was talking to another girl, a part of like the really feminist part of me was like, I don't want to be with a man that treats me like this type thing. And I wanted to be that person, but after dating other guys and just realizing that like all men suck, and even though Brandon really messed up, like I still wanted to be with him because I realized that he still had a lot of really great qualities that I admired and looked for. To me, I think that battle was worth fighting. Whoa. Okay, someone asked me, how did I know Brandon was the one to marry? When Brandon and I first started dating, I was like obsessed with him. I was head over heels, like literally. I thought he was like the most handsome man I had ever met and ever talked to. And it was just like fun to go out with him. He was funny, took us to great dinner places. He always paid, he was a gentleman. He like still opens up my door to this day. We would just always have a lot of fun together. And I think after we had our rough patches and he was really constantly proving to me that he was a good guy and was willing to like change and be better for me, it like solidified that I think he was the person for me. Someone asked, what do Brandon and I argue about? I feel like now we've been together for so long that now it's like little couples bickering. So it's very minor things, but once we got back together after fighting, we hardly fought at all because I was just kind of at this point where I didn't think that the small fights were really worth it anymore. And a lot of times we would have fights and I would refuse to be the one that apologized first because I have a lot of pride, okay? My mom and I both are very hard-headed, and if I could be the last person to admit that they're wrong and never have to admit it and never have to apologize, I would be so happy with that. But I think I just realized after Brandon and I's rough patches that having that pride is not worth it anymore. And sometimes you have to be the bigger person, apologize, even if you don't want to, even if you don't think that it's your fault necessarily. So after Brandon and I got back together, a lot of our fights were very minor things because we just didn't want to do it, and we just didn't want to like really be petty anymore, and it wasn't worth the fights. Someone asked, how do Brandon and I keep things spicy? This is interesting because my brother's literally in the living room probably listening to everything. Before we moved into our house, I feel like now it's a little hectic and we haven't really had time for ourselves as much as we used to, but we would just make a day of the week, maybe once a week or once every other week, and just have a really nice date night, and we would have someone decide what we're doing for that week, what activity, what new restaurant we're trying out, and just like dedicate a day to be our date nights. Things can kind of feel the same and you need to just spice things up every once in a while. Sometimes you can play around with like different outfits, different like scenarios, things like that. I don't really enjoy talking about stuff like this. I feel like it makes me a little uncomfortable. Also, my mom watches my YouTube channel, so if you guys follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you may have seen that Brand and I just moved into our first house. And when we first moved to California, almost 5 years ago now, we moved from Seattle. Our goal was always to get our own house. As soon as we moved to California together, we lived with Brandon's grandma because we wanted to save money. The original plan was just to live with her for a couple of years, and we love living with her. Like, if you could save money and live at home for a while, I highly recommend it because I think that being able to buy your own place is the best investment that you can do. When I lived back home in Seattle and I was going to school, I knew that I could not live with my parents. It just wasn't gonna work. I feel like my mom is very strong-headed and we got in arguments about everything all the time. So living at home wasn't worth it for me. And so finding a person like Brandon's grandma that we really enjoyed living with and could also save money at the same time, which is kind of a no-brainer. Him and I are 28 and just bought our first house together, so I think it really pays off. Fuck what people think, you know? If you could save money and your end goal is to buy a house, do what it takes, you know? So I'll give you a little tour of our house as soon as I'm done getting ready, but it is like literally our dream house. There's so much space here for us. Right now we have a lot of things sitting in boxes because we need a little bit more storage. So I've ordered some furniture and we're waiting for the furniture to come so that we can put things away. And in the meantime, there's just like nowhere to put these things. So it is quite the process moving, but we're obsessed with our house. It is our dream house. We worked with a real estate agent to find it and highly recommend working with a realtor that's very experienced in your area because our realtor had a lot of really great recommendations for like inspectors, lenders, everything. And we asked him so many different questions. He really held our hands through the process. So I've been working full-time as a content creator since 2019 almost, and it wasn't until 2020 that I started making a really significant amount of income. Like I think my first year I probably made $16,000 the entire year, so it was a little bit more of a struggle for me. And Brandon had just moved from Seattle to California and I was looking for a job at the time, and so I was just kind of starting as a content creator as kind of a side hustle and hardly making any money. Like I didn't think it was going to be my full-time thing. 2020 was the first year that I made a six-figure income, so that was when I decided that like, hey, I think I want to do this full-time because there is a lot of opportunity and potential here. And now obviously I make a very stable income, very financially stable. I have 2 full-time employees that are on salary as well as a management team, and I also have like an accountant and a couple like part-time assistants that help me out here and there. So I'm very grateful that business is doing really well. Honestly, there's a lot of money in this industry and now there's more people that want to be in it because of that, and also it's just like a really fun job to have, you know? But a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of work that goes into this, and if it was so easy, there would be a lot more people that were very, very successful in this. Like I feel like there's a lot of micro influencers, there's a lot of people that are in the space, but to make it and make a significant amount of money and turn it into a business, it does take a little bit more work. So if you guys want to see a separate video on that, I do have a YouTube playlist where I talk about some of the in and outs of some of the influencer world, how to make money and some of my tips and stuff like that. Last year, Brand and I traveled a lot and we are actually getting married in Lake Como in 2024 next year. Someone asked me how I afford this lifestyle if I only make 100K. way. Let me just say that making 6 figures is not limited to 100,000. It's a very wide range and we can afford our lifestyle very comfortably. But if you want to be an influencer and be successful, I feel like you have to truly love creating content, and it's something that you're passionate about, not just something that you want to get into because you want free products or you want that lifestyle. You know what I mean? When I was younger, I was told that if you couldn't afford something 7 times over, then you can't afford it. If I couldn't afford Louis Vuitton, I wasn't buying Louis Vuitton. So if you're kind of in that phase where it seems like a lot of people around you are making a lot of money and are wearing like all of these designer brands that you have always wanted, I think it's more worth it to grind and work on the things that you want to work on and build your income so that it's at a place where you can afford all of those nice things, because you don't want to go broke looking like you're rich, you know? Okay, I think the makeup is almost ready, and I will link all the products I use down below as well if you guys are curious. Someone asked me if I could break down like influencer income, and so a majority of the money that I make is from brand deals. So that is like a lot of the big partners that I have. I worked with Sephora for the last 3 years as a partner. If you think like celebrity sponsorships, some of the TV ads that they do and stuff like that, that is where a lot of money is made. I also make money off of affiliate income. A lot of the times if I link something in my story, it is trackable, or if you use a discount code, it is something that I receive a small percentage back, but obviously that's not something that costs more to you as a user, so it doesn't really affect you. It just gives me a little bit of credit for convincing you to buy that item, you know? I also do make money off of AdSense, so sometimes the platforms will send us a percentage of money based on your engagement or views, and that is also another small percentage of income that I make. It's definitely not anything like the brand endorsements or anything like that. Another way that I make money is off of like the side hustles. A lot of the times brands will want me to create UGC content, which is kind of like user generated content, which is content that lives on their socials or website and not necessarily like my Instagram or TikTok. So this is a lot of the things that micro influencers are doing a lot of too, just like creating content for brands that they can use. So I do a lot of that. I also have my own Lightroom presets that I sell, and I use these to edit a lot of my photos on Instagram. They're great for iPhone photos, camera photos. I've been working on Lightroom presets that look like the Canon G7X camera photos, but you can apply it to regular iPhone or camera photos to have that filmy digital camera look. So that is also another way that I make money every time I sell a pack of Lightroom presets. That's my creation on my website, so I make that full percentage. And there's lots of side hustles as well. When I first moved to LA and I didn't really make a lot of substantial money as an influencer, or even if you're like unsure about wanting to do it full time, you can kind of dip your toes into the influencer world. Even if you work a full-time job, I was working a full-time job in Seattle while I was just starting my YouTube channel, and it's a great way to kind of like learn to work with deals, get free products here and there while having like, I find, a stable income that comes every month. If you guys want to see a more dedicated video on creator tips, a lot of people were asking about like my story of how I went full time, how to start, how to pitch to brands for deals, what I would do if I wasn't a creator. So if you guys want to see a more in-depth video about that, let me know. But this is a makeup. The skin looks really good, and I will give you a quick tour of the house. Okay, so now it has been the next day because it gets dark by 4 p.m. now, so I'm no longer wearing my makeup. But this is the living room area. We love the beams. This is like one of our favorite parts of the house, and I love how high the ceilings are. We also have a fireplace, which is really cool, and I think long term, I think we want to mount the TV and maybe flip the couch to face that way, but we will see. Right now we have the TV here. We have the rug for my studio, if you guys remember that. And the couch is currently covered in blankets because we have 3 dogs here. Sometimes they get poopy butt and we want to protect the white couch. So sometimes I'll take it off if we're having like people over. But most of the time, blankets are protecting the couch. Over here, we actually just put up this mirror, which I actually love, from Lulu in Georgia. This cabinet's also Lulu in Georgia. Eventually, we'll have like a cabinet maker come and do like a little built-in here to give us a little bit more storage. And then we just put up these curtains as well the other day, give us some privacy. Curtains are from Amazon. And then these chairs are kind of like a cute little sitting area. I think I eventually want to get like a little lamp here, maybe like a little side table. And here, currently in progress, but we're waiting for a dining table and chairs to come, and I'm debating whether or not we want to set down a rug so it kind of softens the echo, makes it a little bit more cozy, and breaks up some of the wood colors. This cabinet, if you guys remember, is vintage. We thrifted it. It was crazy to move it into our house, but we currently just have it filled with like glassware and extra storage things, which we definitely need here. And then the chandelier came with the house, which we love. I think once we get a dining table in, we might get a little hook so we can center the chandelier above the dining table. So this is the master bedroom. So in here, it's super cozy. The bed frame is from Sunday's Furniture. It actually has storage underneath, so we have all our extra sheets, pillows, blankets all underneath, which is great. The nightstand is also Sunday's, and I love this cute little corner. Very cozy vibes. Everything I need for at night is all here in the drawers. And then Brandon actually redid my closet, and I don't know how long we're gonna keep it like this for, but right now it's working. We need to figure out something for the shoes. And then this cabinet here is from Castlery. Love it. Lots of extra storage for all my pants and workout sets and all that. This jewelry storage thing, I love. It has all of my like jewelry. I think it's from the Container Store. I wish I got it in a different color, but she is useful and probably one of my favorite things. And then over here we have Brandon's little nightside table. We just got this storage bench from Wayfair, and I love it because it's packed with like random things while I was trying to clean the room really quick. Hi, Brooke. Bathroom is nice and roomy, but a huge storage hack that we started doing at our last house is these clear acrylic bins for skincare, because it frees up so much shelf space. You can see I packed this thing. And then I have a little Dyson holder that I got from Amazon that I also love. I just love that it's everything that I need is out and very convenient. And then all of the necessities, lots of counter space, lots of storage in here. That's very messy, but all of this came with the house that we'll probably eventually redo. I think I want like a double sink with full storage, because I feel like this space is kind of wasted, but cute little bathroom. Okay, Vic was really excited to show you her room, and she's moving in with us in a couple weeks, and she's very excited. We're gonna get a different bed frame situation for her. She needs some organization cleaning, and we need to put these bins away, but this is just a reality of like moving in, unpacking. It's a long process. What have you got to say for yourself?
This is my bed. This is how I sleep at night.
This is her mirror from IKEA that we love. I have the black frame version, but she's very useful. And then this wardrobe came with us from the last house, but what do you have in there? Ooh. She has a lot of these, so we need to figure out like some sort of like shelving storage for her bedroom. So if you guys have any advice, give it to Vic. That's all for the tour. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.